Sue Buttons is a lonely woman longing to feel important. She practices positive thinking, convincing herself that she is confident and self-sufficient. Today is her birthday, and Sue heads out to pick up the cake she ordered in advance. Her name is spelled incorrectly on the cake, and Sue points it out to the shop assistant, but the woman doesn't care. She simply asks whether Sue will be paying by card or cash. Despite everything, Sue tries to smile and stay optimistic in every situation. She doesn't know how to stand up for herself or say no to people. Meanwhile, Sue's husband Carl is on the phone with his lover, suggesting they meet today. Sue returns and tiredly says that unfortunately the cake is ruined. Then she calls her sister Nancy, who works in television. But Nancy, like Carl, doesn't even remember it's Sue's birthday. The woman tries not to get upset and tells her reflection in the mirror that she is confident. By that time Carl has already left, supposedly to go to the gym. All the news channels are talking about a missing teenage girl, 13-year-old Emma Rose. Sue fixes the writing on the cake and smiles, proud of herself. Then she heads to her job at a call center. Verbal abuse from clients is an everyday part of her work. Carl has a brother, Petey Buttons, who is trying to leave crime behind and now works in a store. He's about to become a father and needs to take responsibility for his family. But his coworker Rita believes there's no point in living such a dull and dreary life. Sue can't believe her luck when she sees her coworkers bringing in a cake, popping confetti and singing happy birthday. But when Sue realizes the celebration is for her coworker Janet, her mood quickly darkens. Barely holding back tears of disappointment, Sue books a table for two at a restaurant to celebrate her birthday with Carl in a romantic setting. Members of the Asian Mafia, Mina and Ray, show up at Petey's job looking for Carl, who owes them money. Petey explains that he's clean now and doesn't know where Carl is. But under threats Petey quickly cracks. Rita tries to defend him and fearlessly points a gun at Mina, but of course it doesn't end well. Before the gangsters leave, they warn Petey not to say a word to his brother. Pulling herself together, Rita says how cool that was. It's been a while since she had that much fun. Sue sends texts to her husband but he ignores them. The gangsters show up at the bank where Carl works, but it's a different branch. Seeing them, Carl quickly hides under a desk, but Mina and Ray still spot him. He has until tomorrow to launder $3 million. He says it's impossible, but Mina and Ray make it very clear that he has no choice. Sue arrives at the bank office and rehearses the upcoming conversation with Carl, deep down, feeling guilty for bothering him. At that moment Carl calls his brother and says the Mafia somehow found him at the new branch. Seeing her husband walking to his car with a bouquet in his hands, Sue perks up, thinking Carl didn't forget her birthday and has a surprise planned. She follows his car. But Sue's world collapses when she sees Carl with his lover at the Pleasant Leisure Motel. Sue cries, repeating that she is strong and significant. But they are just words. At some point, feeling a surge of pure rage, Sue resolutely walks into the motel and lies to the receptionist, saying she lost the key to the room where her husband is waiting. Hearing it's Sue's birthday, the woman happily agrees to help. When the wife catches him red-handed, Carl dies of a heart attack. His lover Leah isn't pretty at all, and it's unclear what Carl saw in her. Leah has a meltdown, unlike Sue, who reacts to her husband's death with complete calm. Sue demands Leah calm down immediately and leave. Sue promises to take care of everything and not tell anyone. She still can't understand how her husband could forget her birthday. Later, Sue calls the restaurant and cancels the reservation. She flips through TV channels, but every station only shows Emma Rose's story. The girl's family receives hundreds of letters from concerned people, and her parents constantly give interviews. The public sympathizes with them, and TV host Gloria Michaels has made a name for herself through the case. Sue is tired of feeling worthless, and an unexpected idea comes to her. She digs a grave not far from the motel and buries Carl with his belongings. Sue already imagines how she'll play the role of a grief-stricken wife. The next morning she goes to the police station and tries to file a missing person report on her husband, but Detective Cam Harris refuses to accept it, saying husbands often go away for the weekend without telling their wives. Sue returns home. All she wants is to be in the spotlight, just like Emma Rose's parents. In a fit of rage, Sue smashes the TV, then starts destroying the kitchen. Suddenly the doorbell rings. It's Nancy, here to remind Carl that he forgot to submit her credit application. Seeing the mess in the house, Nancy freezes in confusion. Pretending to cry, Sue says that someone broke into their home and that Carl was probably kidnapped. The police refuse to accept a report until 48 hours have passed. Nancy offers to cover the story on television. Her primary goal is selfish, to gain fame and outshine Gloria Michaels. When Nancy steps aside to call a media outlet, Sue suddenly stops crying and smiles. Soon a TV crew arrives at her house. Nancy tells her sister that during the interview, she needs to look as sad as possible. After her jog, Petey's pregnant girlfriend Jonelle sees the interview on TV, which claims that the police did nothing, and she is left speechless. Petey is convinced that the Asian gang is behind Carl's disappearance. Meanwhile, Sue plays her role very convincingly, crying in front of the cameras and begging the public for help since the police are doing nothing. Nancy praises her sister, seeing this as a perfect opportunity for her career. The police arrive, Detective Harris and Officer Jones, annoyed that Sue went to the press instead of the station. Sue explains that she tried but no one would listen. The detectives want to search the house. According to Sue, her husband disappeared yesterday morning. Supposedly he never came home. When she went downstairs, she found the place trashed and immediately realized something terrible had happened. Promising to do everything they can, the officers leave. Detective Harris finds it strange that Sue speaks of her husband in the past tense. But Jones doesn't believe that such a sweet woman could commit a crime. Petey goes to Mina and Ray, pleading with them to let his brother go. Mina says the price is 20 grand. Petey doesn't have that kind of money, but he promises to find it. After Petey leaves, Ray reminds Mina that Carl isn't with them. Even if Petey pays, it won't be enough. The question is, where is Carl? Mr. Kim, Mina's father and head of the Mafia, is disappointed. Carl stole his money and thinks he can get away with it. Mr. Kim says he can't entrust his business to his daughter if people don't fear her. He expected more from her. Mina and Ray return to the bank and, threatening employee Steve Perkins with a gun, find out that all of Carl's accounts are empty. They assume he took the money and ran. To cover her tracks and make her father proud, Mina takes Steve's life. The police discover that after his disappearance, there was no credit card activity from Carl. His last purchase was a bouquet of flowers. But where is it? The detectives are informed that a body was found in Carl's office, the corpse of one of his co-workers. There is no surveillance system inside the bank because management never considered it necessary. But perhaps this isn't one of those times. Without it, tracking down the criminals will be difficult. Behind her sister's back, Sue goes directly to Gloria Michaels. But Gloria isn't interested in anything except the Emma Rose case. So to draw as much attention as possible to her own story, Sue claims her husband was kidnapped after learning something about Emma Rose's disappearance. This immediately sparks Gloria Michaels' interest. When Jonelle sees the interview linking Emma Rose's case with Carl Buttons, she is confused. The detectives show up at Petey's work to ask him a few questions. Meanwhile, he's thinking about how to get the ransom money. The detectives ask if Petey has any idea where his brother might be or who might want to harm him. Petey lies, saying he doesn't know anything, but it's obvious the officers don't believe him. As for Sue, Petey rarely interacted with her because she was so quiet, so the interview came as a surprise to him. When the officers leave and Petey starts wondering aloud how to get the money to pay the Asian Mafia, Rita says they'll have to resort to theft. The colleagues express sympathy for Sue and offer help in every way. She secretly basks in the attention. This is exactly what she has always lacked. But Jonelle doesn't believe the story about Carl's kidnapping, and certainly not that he had any connection to Emma Rose. It's more likely that Carl just decided to leave his wife after 30 years of marriage, and she made up the disappearance story to save face. Sue responds very politely that she would prefer support during this difficult time rather than ridiculous assumptions. But if Jonelle says that, then clearly her view of family is a bit different. Nancy is upset with her sister for giving her story to Gloria Michaels. Sue objects, saying that her priority is to find out what happened to Carl. Nancy feels like something is off but chooses not to bring it up yet. Sue is contacted by the family of Emma Rose. Learning this, Nancy sees a new opportunity and suggests a joint interview. Sue is uncertain, but eventually agrees. That night, Petey and Rita rob a jewelry store. Rita is thrilled, she's never felt anything like it before. Now Sue is recognized everywhere, she's become a celebrity. When she goes to buy a new TV, she tells the salesgirl a touching story about how she and her husband used to love watching television together in the evenings. Petey on the other hand avoids Sue. He feels guilty around her, convinced that Carl was kidnapped because of him. Rita advises Petey to talk to Sue, and he does. The man promises his brother's wife that he will find Carl, leaving her confused. At Sue's house, Mina and Ray are already waiting. They want to know where Carl is. Frightened, Sue says she has no idea. Mina with a syrupy voice tells Sue that they'll help her find Carl. The day of the interview arrives. Emma Rose's parents hope that Mrs. Buttons will share some useful details. After all, she claims Carl knew something. Before Sue can say a word, Leah Norton, Carl's mistress, shows up. Panicking, Sue tells everyone that she's just an old family friend. Outside away from witnesses, they talk in private. Leah blackmails Sue, threatening to expose the truth unless she pays up. Only Leah knows that Carl died of a heart attack and that Sue did something with his body before reporting him missing. Sue tries not to cave under pressure, imitating Mina's mannerisms, but that hardly intimidates Leah. From that moment, Sue refuses to play the victim and calls Mina, saying she knows someone who might know where Carl is, Leah Norton. Too late, Sue notices Detective Cam Harris parked across the street from her house. The detective asks who the woman was who drove off in a white Mercedes. Sue evasively says it was an old acquaintance. Sensing something's wrong, Detective Harris asks leading questions, but Sue doesn't budge and starts tearfully begging the officer to bring Carl home. While Sue is distracted, Emma Rose's parents decide to cancel the interview, feeling it's all a farce. Nancy is very upset, she really needed that interview. Realizing her sister doesn't care about her struggles, Sue says it's better to work with Gloria Michaels, she has more viewers, and therefore more reach. Sue tells the film crew that the interview is cancelled for today and pulls the mic off her shirt. That same night, she forges a ransom letter demanding $50,000 for Carl's release. Officer Jones manages to uncover that Carl had been laundering money for the Asian Mafia and had met with the same people who took Steve Perkins's life shortly before his disappearance. But Detective Harris is still convinced that Sue Buttons is somehow involved. Captain Riggins demands that Harris stop harassing the poor woman who lost her husband, or she'll be pulled from the case. The official theory is that Carl was kidnapped. Petey prepares to meet Mina and Ray to hand over the stolen jewelry. Rita wants to come with him, insisting he needs backup, but Petey thinks it's a bad idea to bring anyone else, especially not with a weapon. He just wants this to be over. Detective Harris goes to Leah Norton's house, but she's not there. The detective finds receipts from the Pleasant Leisure Motel and makes a mental note. Petey meets with Mina and gives her the jewelry. It's probably worth much more than 20 grand. Mina assures him they'll release Carl by the end of the day. Easiest money she's ever made. She and Ray have already kidnapped Leah Norton. Mina can't wait to brag to her father. Mr. Kim doesn't mind using torture to get the information he needs, while Leah keeps saying she doesn't know anything. At that moment, a news report airs about the ransom letter, making the Mafia think Carl might actually have been kidnapped. Sue basks in her fame. Who would have thought she'd become famous nationwide? Detective Harris shows up at Sue's house, convinced that Leah Norton's disappearance isn't a coincidence. Sue refuses to go to the station unless the detective has a warrant. This pushes Cam over the edge, and she arrests Sue. Seeing Detective Harris roughly leading Sue away in handcuffs, Nancy records the scene on video. Then she calls a colleague and asks him to send the footage to Gloria Michaels immediately. Petey begins to realize Mina played him. Going to the police isn't an option. How would he explain where he got the ransom money? Detective Harris is convinced that Sue found out about her husband's affair and decided to take care of both him and his lover. Seeing the camera crew outside the station, Sue starts crying dramatically. Gloria Michaels tries to interview the detective, while Sue diligently tries to appear pitiful. Despite Officer Jones's attempts to stop her, Detective Harris interrogates Sue, but it leads nowhere. Captain Riggins interrupts the questioning, removes Harris from the case, and apologizes to Sue. Cam knows she's right, but even her partner doesn't support her. Meanwhile, Jonelle finds a diamond ring in Petey's pocket. Rita sneaks up behind Mina in a mask and points a gun at her. Riggins makes a public statement that Sue is not considered a suspect and that the whole thing was a misunderstanding. Rita and Petey take Mina hostage. Rita calls the Mafia boss and demands Carl's release, or Kim's daughter dies. Jonelle starts having contractions, so Petey runs off. Mr. Kim demands that Leah Norton tell him who she's working for and where his daughter is. Terrified, Leah says Sue is behind it. But it's not enough to keep Leah alive. It turns out Jonelle lied about the contractions. They're both liars anyway. How else can Petey explain the diamond ring in his pocket? Petey admits he's doing it for his brother. Jonelle asks him to make a choice right now. He leaves Rita a voicemail. But at that moment, Ray shows up at the store warehouse and takes Rita's life, sent by the Mafia boss. Ray tells Mina that she's caused enough trouble for one day and that her father wants to see her. Suddenly, one of Rita's co-workers charges at Mina with an axe. Ray fires his gun, but it's too late. Mina can't be saved. Ray sets the warehouse on fire. Sue is picked up from the station by her sister. Nancy gave the story to Gloria Michaels for Sue's sake, knowing the press would swarm the station. Suddenly, Nancy stops the car and demands Sue tell her the truth about what happened to Carl. The conversation between Sue and Leah Norton had been recorded. Nancy listened to it through the mic. Sue gets out of the car, telling Nancy that she's just jealous. Nancy used to be the popular sister, while Sue lived in her shadow. But now everything has changed. At Sue's house, the Mafia boss is waiting. He won't let them go until he finds out where Carl is. At first, Sue insists Carl is missing, but when Mr. Kim shoots Nancy in the leg, Sue agrees to tell the truth if he lets her sister go. At the same time, Harris arrives at the Pleasant Leisure Motel. Jones followed his partner, feeling guilty for not supporting her. Kim also brings Sue to the motel and demands she dig up the grave. The detectives show the receptionist a photo of Sue and Carl, but the elderly woman has trouble remembering faces. So Harris asks to see the surveillance footage. Petey still hasn't been able to reach Rita and heads to the store, where the fire is now raging. Meanwhile, Ray shows up to deal with Jonelle, but she throws boiling water on him and then grabs a knife. Sue keeps digging the grave. Seeing security footage of Mrs. Buttons entering the motel on the day Carl disappeared, Harris is triumphant. Now even Captain Riggins will know she was right. As the detectives leave the motel, they spot someone digging with a shovel nearby. Sue hands the bag of money to the Mafia boss, who prepares to get rid of her as the only remaining witness. At that moment, the detectives pull their guns on him. Kim shoots Jones, and Harris fires back at Kim. Sue begs the detective to spare her, promising they'll give interviews together and become famous. But that hardly matters to Harris. At that moment, Kim, still alive, shoots the detective. It's his final breath. Sue tells the dying Cam that people won't forget her and that her name will be in all the headlines. Glancing at the bag of money, Sue realizes that everything is now in her hands. The police arrive. Sue portrays herself as the victim in this whole ordeal. By the way, Emma Rose was found safe and sound. She had simply run away from home, as teenagers often do. A year later, Sue published a book about what she went through. It became a bestseller. Now everyone in the country knows who Sue is.